Thank you, Marta, and thank you for putting this together. I enjoyed the event so far. I've been able to learn a lot from all the speakers. And well, I will not hold you for a long time today. My mission is that maybe the next time that you hear the word certification or homologation, you don't have a bad experience about it. So let's see how we can talk about the technical barriers, especially in the region. So we all come from different backgrounds, and for me it's important, of course, to give an overview about which are those regulatory approvals in this, our wireless industry. I will give an overview also about the product compliance perspective for the 6 gigahertz band, the theme for today, and which are the opportunities that we see from the region according to the experience dealing with certifications and homologations. So what are product certifications after all, and why people should care about it? The companies, vendors, well, the most experienced companies, they do care about it. They have processes in place, but it's often something that many people overlook. But the importance of the certification industry is because everything starts when we place quality at the center of it. If we have quality, maybe the first thing that comes to mind is, okay, safety. But I would like to extend that to users' protection. Why? Because yes, it's important to put safe products into a market, but I will say we're all users. In this case, users of a spectrum. We need to take care of the spectrum as well. We need to take care about the environment. And that will happen if we implement quality processes into delivering products to the market. But it's not only the safety or the protection, it's also a matter of performance. We need reliable products. The chip manufacturers are working on putting all this together to deliver reliable products that work as they are supposed to work, that they work under even critical conditions. And when you put safe products and reliable products into a market, then you build a reputation. And of course, if you don't place safe products and reliable products into a market, you also have a reputation, but one that you don't want. And this is to create the optimal conditions for market access. So that's behind the product certification, that's behind the quality portion, because there is too much at stake. And if I need to summarize what's the product journey in the certification world, I will divide it in 4 steps, maybe, from what we have observed in this industry. And the first one is identify the products, identify the models, the restrictions, identify the requirements. It's not a matter of just, okay, I have my product, then I need a certificate somehow. Maybe better plan for that and prepare for that. Prepare the product documents, prepare the samples. Samples for testing are not something that you just take from the marketplace and you start testing in a lab. They require a lot of preparation. They require support from the chip manufacturers. You need also to prepare contracts. You need to prepare who is your local support, who will offer warranties, for example, who will be your distribution channels, because at the end, they will be responsible for the products in the market. Then is where really starts the validation part. Here is where we do the testing, where authorities may do the inspection, the analysis of your documentation. They will even check your legal status as a company, as a manufacturer, quality management systems. They will also check that your local counterpart has everything in place to distribute products into a market. And the effort doesn't end there. You need to sustain it over time, because you need to label the product. You need to deal with warranties. You need to deal with claims, renewals, because some of the certificates also expire, and be prepared for any surveillance program that the manufacturers have. So this is my summary about the certification, and I would like to, well, taking the advantage of the host country, the Anatel example. Anatel probably is the most mature and most developed certification scheme in all Latin American region, and they through the different stages they combine what I just presented. They have this local environment when you need to hire a certification body, you need to hire a lab, you need to do some paperwork on behalf of your local representative. It's not just something that you will handle alone from overseas. You will do the testing, you will have the review of documents, and you will have Anatel giving you a homologation number that you will put into your products later on. But then when I talk to people and I say, well, I deal with product certifications, they express me why. They are expensive, they are long, they are complex. And well, maybe we need to acknowledge that yes, being first to market sometimes has implication in terms of costs. Testing is not something cheap. Testing equipment is not cheap. Licenses, accreditations for a lab, those are not cheap things. So there is a price to pay, okay? They may be long if we deal with bureaucracy, but I will say that beyond that, it's a learning curve. I mean, we're all learning about the new technologies here. And the spectrum authorities need to learn about what is the right scenario and the right conditions to open a band and how to analyze the equipment. And about the complexity, I will say it comes most of the times because there are disconnections between the manufacturers and their local counterparts, or there is just lack of understanding of the requirements. Of course, if the frameworks are not clear, they will be difficult to understand. But product certification has full purpose behind that, although it's important to acknowledge those concerns from many manufacturers, big scale manufacturers, startups that are dealing with product certifications. But what's our reality and how all this discussion that we are having about the 6 gigahertz band is impacted by this? We have seen the view of the wireless ISP, we have seen the view maybe of the chipset vendors, the access point net vendors, operators. This is what is happening in product certifications. But first, a couple of good news following my previous slide. Regarding cost, I will say most of the certifications in Latin America, they are either free of charge or they just have a small associated fee, because in not all the countries you need to perform testing. Then regarding the timing, if you plan accordingly, you can start learning how to deal with the countries at a regional level. The timing we see that is increased whenever there are isolated efforts, country by country, and not considering Latin America or even the ITU2 region as a whole. And the complexity tends to decrease over time, but it needs a strategic approach as well, especially with clear and harmonized frameworks. And about harmonization, well, which are the standards that we have available for the region? The first one came from FCC, as we were hearing minutes ago, July 2020, almost 3 years. And now the FCC is taking advantage of that. We heard about the 18 to 36 months of delivering products. Right now, the FCC has more than 100 access points certified. They also have that category of products that, well, could work like a mixed devices, and they also have the low power indoor. In total, more than 300 models, right? The Wi-Fi Alliance say that they have also like 800 models already certified. And then the next one was Anatel. February 2021, they modified the full standard of what they call restricted radiation equipment, and they already have something that they can test, that they can physically measure, that will not generate that interference for other services. And we have the Canada as well, okay? Those are the main 3 standards in the region that can help for market access. Those are not industry standards. Those are not the 802.11 type of thing. Those are the regulatory standards. And I'm not even mentioning the word Wi-Fi yet, because those are tech-neutral standards. They talk about digital modulation equipment, spread the spectrum devices. So other possibilities also are open over there. If we cross the Atlantic, we will find that the reference standard for this similar technology, they are still on a draft. And when they are in draft, it means that manufacturers are planning a market access with that standard in mind. And because of the working group of ITSI can update it, maybe 1 year from now, the work that they are doing is useless. Or maybe the products that they are designing will not be possible to be sustained over the time. So what will be the impact for the region? It will be lack of product compatibility. And here are kind of the main issues. And the first one is because product versioning is a supply chain issue. It may be natural, like, okay, if we don't get the products, the American version or the North American version, let's get the European version of it. Well, there are many things to deal if you want to have the European version of a product here. We don't have the same plugs. And in the other Wi-Fi bands, the 2.4, we don't have the same channels. In the 5 gigahertz band, we don't have the 5.8 channel in Europe. So it's a product that if versioning, well, it will be incompatible with everything that we have so far in the other Wi-Fi bands. Then reconfiguration, we were hearing about how Broadcom is able maybe to supply chips that can be reconfigured over time, but it's still not intuitive. It's something that Broadcom is able to do. It's something that the chipset manufacturers still need to solve, because by definition of the standard, you cannot allow users, for example, to reconfigure the devices. So if you implement too much protection, not even qualified personnel will be able to modify them in the future. If you implement no protection, you are opening basically a backdoor for the users to use whatever power, whatever band they want. Then in the market dynamics, they work for a region. You don't make a product thinking, okay, this is the product that I will sell in Colombia, and this is the other one that I will sell in Peru, and this is the other one that I will sell in the Caribbean. You make a product available into the market planning for a region. And this one here probably was more a conclusion based on what we have experienced dealing with the regulatory approvals. Reading very deep into detail of the rules, you will find some certification schemes maybe that were launched 20 years ago that they say, we accept FCC reports, we have this recognition agreement. But guess what? They don't have the possibility to recognize sometimes the European standard or the counterpart. So again, creates a product incompatibility issue that this leads more or less to my first conclusion, and that lack of harmonization can be a risk for both the market and even for the spectrum. For the market, this was explained by many of the colleagues today. Products may not arrive in time. We will not be able to explore all the use cases. And for the spectrum, this is maybe what the other Sebastián had in his work item, that still some products will get into the market with the full band open because of the market conditions, because of the market dynamics. And if that happens, you will not be able to protect the spectrum anyways. So what you will do as a regulator to control that? If some people maybe is overcoming the certification barrier, maybe not with bad intentions, maybe it's just because they don't know that this exists. Remember how I started the presentation. But well, if you go deep down into the certification industry, this is what you will find. You will find that there is existing infrastructure. Here in Brazil, there are more than 25 certification bodies. The total list of FCC certification bodies, to have an example, is like 41. So they are not very far from there. And the FCC has more than 100,000 devices already certified over the years. You will have qualified professionals, people that are willing to learn about how to test your technologies, people that are willing to learn about the test equipment, about the test configurations, about the use case. And you will find tech-neutral standards that are ready to use, not something that still needs some sort of development. But then this will be possible because, yes, some manufacturers, some vendors, they are implementing this as a best practice. Okay, which are the rules? Then we design for compliance and we can get the market access that we need for our products. And believe me, it will be way more effective if done as a regional level. For that to happen, we need to enhance trust and collaboration. Today's event is a fantastic example of something that it's possible, that different stakeholders get together to discuss this. It's not something that needs to happen between the authorities. It needs to happen with the industry, and the industry has an educational role. The industry has access to those data, those amount of data that the regulators need. The industry has those study cases, those demos, those special settings that they want the people at the end to have as a final product into the market. This is my last message because, well, if addressed properly, the regulatory compliance can help to improve innovation and competitiveness into the market. We have great examples in the region. We have Mexico also with infrastructure, Argentina with testing infrastructure, Chile has some labs, Costa Rica is a good example that you don't need to be a massive country to implement a good quality process behind that. They are doing a very good job there, very agile with the product certifications, with the recognition of standards, studying the standards, and even the small companies are invited to follow these best practices. I know that many of those companies that are acquiring chips, they don't only buy the chip, but they also request for guidance of the module manufacturers that say, hey, I am doing the right integration. Will I comply with the regulations, with other levels of emissions? Is my antenna design correct? Things like this are not only anymore things of big companies, but really on small companies, and all of that will help to avoid creating unnecessary gaps for the market access and of course for our region. I think that's it. Yes, that was it. That was very quick. Thank you.